Okay, welcome ladies to our first talk, Inspirational Talks on the Women of Inspiration platform. I'm hoping we're going to have a lot more inspirational talks with different ladies. And I'd like to just introduce Corlia to you today. Some of you might know her from the Lines Arise platform. She's a psychological counselor in Bloberg. And we used to be in practice together, and she's not only a psychological counselor, she's also a Christian counselor, and yeah, an amazing friend. And yeah, so we met on our study journey. The two of us were late bloomers with going back to study, and we met sort of just in our fourth year, right? It was our fourth year we met, right? Yeah. And how we got onto this topic. So our topic today is the different hats we wear. And at the time that we were studying, I mean, we were in our midlife already. We had husbands, we had families, we had a whole lot of responsibilities. We were juggling and we were studying full time. And we always used to talk about, we've got so many things we have to juggle in between trying to study and get qualified. And when we studied, sociology was one of my favorite subjects. And I know a lot of people thought that was very boring, but I really enjoyed just learning about people, how they interact in their environment, and that sort of thing. So Corlia and I were having a conversation the other day about responsibilities and how we so easily become overwhelmed, and especially as women. So for me, I was always fascinated how the roles that we play as women impact our mental health as well, because of also the work that we do. And the prevalence shows that women are more prone to depression and anxiety because of all the roles that they have to fulfill. And men also, they also have roles, but we will more likely reach out to other people to talk about that sort of thing, whereas they will internalize everything. So they have the higher prevalence of heart disease. But now today we want to address the ladies as well and encourage the ladies in this area. So Corlia, I'm going to give over to you now to explain this concept of, so Corlia made it really practical for me, where I was speaking about the roles. She said to me the one day, but what about these hats that we wear? So I want you to explain that to the ladies.
Okay. So just to give you background, so I brought a Tammy or a Corlia along. I do a lot of work with children, and I found how I got onto this idea. I found that so the actual scenario where this idea came to me, I'm quite visual, was I worked with a little girl who couldn't accept that her mom was 3 years post-divorce, and she couldn't accept that mom now has a boyfriend. And I realized when I worked with her that she was almost, it's like mom being mom and mom being working very, very hard, and mom being with her friends and mom being with a guy now was like mushed. It was like she would, I don't know how to explain it to him. It's like she would say, yeah, but mom works hard, and then she goes with him. And I realized if I could separate or help her sort it, it's almost like clean it up a bit, it would be easier for her to accept. And so what I did is I explained, I got hold of, they were smaller, Crazy Store hats, I can't find them at the moment. And I said to her basically, so mom has a hat called mom. The hat mom has got, there's demands or responsibilities linked to it. So what does a mom do? A mom has to look after you. A mom has to be there for you. A mom has to do what moms do, feed you, whatever. The mom hat also has needs. What does a mom need from you? Mom needs you to love her. Mom needs you to talk to her. So there's responsibilities and needs linked to this hat. Then there's a hat called mom, the person who's doing a job. She generates an income. That has certain responsibilities. What are the responsibilities? She has to work long hours. It's not that she's working in the holidays because she wants to or doesn't love you. It's a responsibility that comes with this hat. And she has responsibility to manage her money so that she's not buying you gifts because she doesn't want to, she's being horrible. there's it's one of the responsibilities. But then as a working mom, she also has needs. The need is, this particular mom works from home. She needs you to not barge into her office when she's with a client. She also does counseling kind of work. She needs you to respect her space. She needs you to not fiddle, in her papers. She needs her clients to pay. Same. Then mom has a need, is also a friend to people. What is demanded of being a good friend? You need to make time for your friends. You need to spend time with your friends. You need to listen to your friends. And then also, what will your mom get from her friendship? She will get companionship, blah, blah, blah. And then I went, and now mom is also, there's a mom, the role or the hat that mom carries of just being a girl, just being a woman.
I love that.
And as just a girl, mom is all these things, and it's amazing and it's responsible, but mom is also just a girl. Just a girl means that she has the responsibility of, or the needs of having someone, emotional needs, physical needs, companionship needs, and the responsibility is that if you're with somebody in that regard, you need to spend time with him. You need to make time with him. Sometimes you need to choose him. If he calls, you will take the call, or try at least. And when I did that, so it was possible to show her the 4 hats. And then what I did is I actually went to her. I went to the little girl and I said to her, you also have hats. You're a sister, you're a daughter. She was very confused between also responsibility to mom and dad. I said, yes, you're a daughter to your mom and also a daughter to your dad, but it's 2 different hats. And what you need with mom and what you need with dad is different. So don't mix the 2. They're no longer together. So because she was trying to protect her dad against the truth of mom having found somebody. So I used the hats to also separate that. And then it worked well. She resisted it. It was actually quite sweet. I could see it's like, I hear the truth and I don't want it. Don't we all do that? But the mom, the feedback 2 or 3 weeks later was that she's suddenly accepting the guy, and she would say things like, mom, you need to go and wash your hair because he's coming. So she realized the concept that as a girl, mom needs to look pretty for the guy, that kind of thing. And then how I got to, when I started working with grown-ups, it just popped in. I often used my kiddie stuff with grown-ups because actually it's just so practical. So I realized, so so if I look at, me, I'm a mom, I'm a friend, we body, soul, and spirit. As Christians, we know that. I have a hat called body, this body that Corlia has. I'm also just a girl. And what I realized with clients is with my grown-up clients, so it's like the pie chart that you were talking about. If we had to use a pie chart to almost divide our roles or hats, the next question is how much energy goes into each pie or into each hat. And I think when we get overwhelmed, definitely in our job, Tammy, and I'm sure you can testify to this, I need to look after the just a girl hat as much as I look after the spiritual counselor hat, as much as I look after the CPD points and doing continual professional development as and doing psychology like we do, as I have to into friendships, as I have to into my body. So something that I started doing late last year is I realized I'm quite an adventure girl. So I've really tried to do the hikes and the swims and the kayaking because it feeds me. And I think when we get overwhelmed or out of balance is when we spend a lot of time on one hat. So this hat would be like a massive top hat, and our girl hat is tiny, or our body hat is tiny, or our just a girl hat is tiny. And we can often almost feel accused by the accuser comes and says, why are you spending a whole weekend on just being a girl hat or the body hat? But it's actually
so true.
It's not God. God made us body, soul, and spirit, and he wants us to be all of what he made us. And we are either super moms or super wives or super whatever's, but we don't spend on the girl hat and the
there's an imbalance because I think I think a lot of us with our different backgrounds that we come from. So, I mean, us that work in attachment and trauma as well, we understand, the different backgrounds that will impact, how we grow, how we develop, how we interact in situations, even what we expect from ourselves. So I know for me, I can be pretty hard on myself. And I've had to start to really check myself. What's it? Check yourself before you wreck yourself, because you need to have a balance. I had a conversation with another friend the other day looking at similar to your chart, but what they call like the life wheel, to see how balanced the different areas of your life are. And I just realized how much imbalance there was, where there was too much work and not enough play. And you don't actually realize the effect that that has on your body. So I'm very glad you put the body up. I mean, I never thought of the body as actually a hat. It's one of those areas you actually need to take care of, you know. And I was thinking also, you know, it also ties into those boundaries that we need to have, you know, for ourselves, for our relationships with others. How much energy, when you spoke about the energy, you know, how much do we close the door? How much do we open the door? What do we let in? What do we let out? You know?
Yeah, there's a guy that I've started listening to. His stuff on empaths and narcissists. Anyway, he has a fascinating clip on YouTube on the attachment and energy systems of empaths. That Abdul Saad, he's a clinical psychologist from Perth.
Yes, I've watched some of his stuff.
Yeah.
Yes,
and he talks about the energy exchange system, and that in an empath kind of personality, you immediately start exerting energy and giving and picking up and trying to appease and make it better. And it's definitely something I see. And you know, we as Christians don't want to talk energy, but the truth is it is so. We give, and it's even it's not just when you do or when you speak. It can almost be just being aware of somebody's stuff and picking it up. And I'm thinking of moms and women. You know, they say the woman is the glue of the house. To actually allow yourself to recognize that function, even though it's an invisible function, is quite difficult. And it takes, you know, it's not like the paycheck or I painted the roof. It's a physical thing, you can see it. But that energy exchange and balancing the vibes and the emotions of everybody in your home, and just keeping things, making it a home, not a house. There's an energy that you give off, that it takes.
It's your physical energy. Yes.
And Tammy, an interesting exercise. I watched Bessel van der Kolk had this last week. I watched some stuff on trauma. He's the latest stuff on trauma, and he did the very interesting thing, and I've started doing it with my clients. So I want to do it with you. So he says, when a client walks in, the first thing you ask them is, quickly zoom through your body like a little scanner. What do you need sitting there now? And the interesting thing is, I would have clients go, actually, I'm thirsty. Wow. You know, can I quickly get water? I've got water in my office. Or they would go, I have no idea. Or they would go, this is actually uncomfortable, and they would take the cushion out. Or they would say, this shoe has been pinching me. But we're so used to silencing that voice. And then it's a niggle. And it will affect your mood, and it will affect your energy levels and your, whether you're tired or not. But because and the one client I worked with is a professional athlete, and that was the saddest session, because she went, I have no idea. And the truth is, Corlia, doing what I've done for all my life, I have to silence that voice. I have to silence my body. You can't say, I'm not tired, I need water, I want to stop, I'm getting off here. It's like, no. So the whole approach is silencing this thing. Right. And the point is, it's like Holy Spirit. If you silence the voice, it's going to go quiet. Your body's going to go quieter and quieter. And after a while, it's like you're not even going to hear the voice anymore. And I realized even in myself, and I think it links to what we're saying, that, gosh, how often do I listen to myself? I was actually thinking when I said, oh no, I'm thirsty. As I'm sitting here, I didn't bring my water with me.
You're actually making me thirsty now. I'm going to have to have a sip of my
water.
So
let's scan your body. What is it that you need?
I'll tell you what came to mind first for me is that I've got tension in my neck and my shoulders. So I know this is something that I struggle with. And very interestingly enough, what you were brought up now with Bessel van der Kolk is that we don't always pay attention to our body. So I was listening to something similar the other day, where our implicit memory, the things that are hidden, also affect our bodies. So the way we carry ourselves. So if we tend to do this a lot, it's your body's way of carrying memory that could come way, all the way from childhood, where you were in an environment where there was fear, where you had to be hyper vigilant and that sort of thing. So you actually carry yourself like that and you don't realize it. And I found that just in the 2 years that I've been here, and even though I've been a counselor for quite a few years, I've realized how sometimes unaware I am of myself, because you're so busy giving and pouring out. And you, like you said, you're taking care of the home, you know, everything that's going on. You don't pay attention to yourself. And then one day your body just goes, oof. And you go, what's going on? And then you realize you've been totally, exactly, you're totally unaware. You've switched off those mechanisms. It's the same, you know, what you said now about the Holy Spirit. If you silence the Holy Spirit, what's going to happen to your spiritual hat?
It's gonna shrink.
Yeah, silence your body hats. Eventually you're going to have all these aches and pains. And I mean, I came to you chatting about this also, you know, just because you feel overwhelmed, but then you realize, when last did I rest? When last did I have a holiday? When last did I take me time? You know, when last did I say it's okay to be a girl? That's what I really loved about what you shared with me, because I had to go sit down and go, when was the last time I said it was okay to just be a girl? You know,
I actually, after our chat, I booked a shoulder massage for me for Friday afternoon, and she was like, Corlia, you're so tense. She worked me like a piece of dough, but it's gone, and I can feel that it's gone. I feel, and it's like a 20-minute, half an hour. Spend time on yourself. It's not even expensive, and I actually changed a little bit of my weekend plans. And on Sunday after church, I went and I canoed, kayaked with a friend the whole day in Gordons Bay. I had a ball. I was a girl. I played in that water. I had ice cream, and it was fantastic. And it's like, I don't know. And I think COVID maybe has something to do with this, that a lot of us woke up. I don't know, but I hear this with my clients, that they kind of go, it's like you do a life review. COVID forced a lot of us, or almost got a lot of us to a place where we do a life review. And it's like, is this it? Why is this it? And what can I do to change it? Yeah.
Do you think COVID forced us to kind of slow down a bit and get out of the grind? And then it actually made us sort of, I almost see it like you step onto another timeline, and you look into it's like that counterfeit timeline, and you go, what have I been doing?
Exactly.
You know,
and another thought I had, and it's not as women, I realized something. My eldest son was colicky, and he was quite a difficult baby. And I think that part of my not listening to my body or switching off my needs was just, if the baby wakes up at 2:00 in the morning, you can't go, oh, my body says it needs to sleep. Sorry, baby. So it's also, if we're mothers, it's like, and there's nothing you can do about that. But the truth is that to a large degree, for many years, for the first how many years of a child's life, it's not about what you want. It can't. I can't say I need to pick up, even when he was older, I need to pick up Samuel from hockey, but I don't feel like driving. And that's
exactly, you have to.
So just be aware of it. I mean, it's not like you can change it, but to be aware of it. And then, I don't even know what the answer, what then is, but because it's denial of self.
Yeah.
And the Bible says deny yourself, but I also think God says, he says
it's got to be healthy. It's got to be healthy.
And there's anyway. So,
and I also think we're very hard on ourselves, I know I most certainly am, and I'm sure there's people out there or ladies out there that can identify, because we're actually just having a really honest talk today. We're often hard on ourselves, and for me, I know that came a lot from my background, the expectations put on you, what you need to achieve, how you need to perform, what that looks like. And then you take that with you, and you never stop to think, is this the way it's supposed to be? And eventually, as you get older, the Lord starts to highlight these areas for you. And then we don't cut ourselves enough slack to actually just be, right, instead of doing all the time. And for me, I know with my husband, for many years worked away in another country, and I had to carry the house, all the stuff, the finances, the kids, all of it that goes with running all of that. And I can remember how many times I said to you, I don't know if I can do this. And we were studying and trying to get the practice going. It was crazy. And I think, you get into autopilot, you just get into, and you just go all the time. You never stop. you never even look back to see what's lying behind you, because you've left half your sometimes I think you leave half your mind behind at the same time, because we know when you're in that hypervigilance, the prefrontal cortex shuts down because it takes so much energy to run. That's your thinking brain. And you got brain fog, you got your memory is not so cool. And then you go, what's going on with me? But you don't stop to think, what have you been doing to yourself?
Exactly.
You know,
I had a friend visit, and it was actually so interesting. I said to her, look, you can come. She was here for a sports thing, and you know, you can come with me to the office, but I'm going to have to do what I do. And I remember at some point in the day, she was like, you know, I would quickly go to Pick n Pay and quickly come back and then see a client. And it was like, and at some point in the day, it was like, because I had this person behind me, and I realized I'm running around like a mad thing. She was like, are we off again? And I was like, but this is my day. But you know, when you suddenly have somebody almost like following
you, and then you don't, but it's good, right? Because it gives you a perspective that you can't see.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. So we actually need those people in our lives, you know, that can actually check us, because part of what I was just thinking about before this was how many of us go into that isolation place where we're just going through so much stuff. We either don't want to share because we feel it's too private, or we don't trust people, or we don't have safe people in our life, or we just don't know what to do with what we're feeling. And I just feel like, you know, as women, we need those special people in our life, other women that are safe, that it doesn't matter what our title is, what we do for a living, you know, or what our ministry is. We can actually just go, you know what, I'm having a really hard time, and I'm being a human. You know, I'm human. I'm not a robot. I'm not the super spiritual person. I'm going through stuff, and we need those safe people in our lives, you know, because I mean, what will we do without them?
Yeah. And Tammy, I find that, I don't know, if it takes one person to be vulnerable and honest, and then it's like the whole, you know, everybody else feels, okay, actually, I didn't want to say this, but
it's true.
Yeah.
So it's almost creating the safety in that, just being honest about how you feel, because otherwise everybody's wearing a mask to cover up, and then we just go, actually, I'm just having a horrible day, you know, and then you realize, well, these people around you going through the same stuff. Yeah.
I remember when we just started practicing, I joined a supervision group in Brackenfell somewhere, and there was a clinical psychologist. And I remember the very first week we had to sort of introduce ourselves, and she said, blah, blah, blah. And she said, I don't have a life. And I remember looking at her and thinking, oh, you're so honest. Like, I said, I don't have a life. Oh, and then sometimes now that we've been in this for a while, I feel sure.
Yeah, a few years down the line, then you go, I don't have a life either. Yeah. So I mean, how do we make this practical for women? What is the advice that we'd give ladies?
Yeah, so to go back to the hat, so what I've started doing, just because I'm on a little bit of a health trip at the moment, and I'm trying to play. I've started playing, and I love it. There's a little girl in me. So what I do is I would make in the beginning of the week, I would almost say, so I do, for instance, cold water therapy. So I would say I need to go into the sea in the mornings twice a week, and I need to fit in a gym session once, and I want to see this friend and this friend and this friend, and I think this weekend, and because I find if I don't, and I tick it as I do it, I sort of scratch through it. I find if I don't do that, then the week is just poof gone. And just that, and also this is just so meal prep. I'm fasting at the moment. I'm doing the Daniel fast, and I find if I don't meal prep on a Sunday, so I'm meal prep. So for me, it's almost like so guardrails, but physical ones, so rails. So I put if at the end of the week I've only ticked 2 of the 6 things I wanted to do for myself, then I have to do a review and say, okay, this hat is shrinking, so up the hat. The same with
so it's kind of like time management, right?
It's like time management, but it's
time better. Yeah, as well. Yes. So that you have the balance of everything in your life. Absolutely. Yeah. And I like that you brought up that you must actually prep and plan, because I know a lot of us want to go through life organically, but I know for myself, it's much easier for me if I've actually planned my week and I actually know that, okay, these are the things I need to get done. And even if there's a little bit more on my list than what needs to be there, I can still feel like, okay, I've done the most of what I need to do.
Yes,
I can actually take a break, because otherwise we work from the morning, after work. I mean, I know in our line of work, because of all the processing we need to do, we're always busy after hours as well. But we need to have a healthy balance for that, for ourselves.
I find, Tammy, with a list, it's like I don't plan Monday at 11 I'm going to do that, because then we're back to pressure. So
I don't do that either.
So it's just 5 things. I don't care when you can do it on Friday night at 12 o'clock. I don't care, but it's a rough outline, so that, but there's freedom in the middle, if that makes sense. When I do it, how I do it, that kind of thing, and that works well for me. I, for instance, decided that last year already, one of my quiet times, I'm not going to do Bible. I'm actually going to just listen to worship, and it's once a week I do that. It's one of the things. So I literally take half an hour. It's usually on my busier mornings or earlier mornings, and I literally listen to, and I try new music. So I've been discovering all these interesting bands that I've never heard of, and I listen to new worship, and it's all I do. For half an hour I listen to worship, and it's just like me and God, and it's a effortless quiet time. But it's brought a richness in, so that kind of thing. So
because doesn't that just bring quietness to you? Yes,
and effortlessness. I don't know. It's like,
and also with regards to the ticking, that's something I sort of had on my agenda this year, was to actually strategically, I know that sounds like work again, but not really, but to plan even, my prayer days. Because sometimes we want to cram everything into one day. We want to pray for our friends, our family, our clients, our ministries, our jobs, our practice, whatever it is. And it's too much, it's like and then we go, I didn't get to everything today. Now I feel bad. But to actually plan that, on this day, I'm going to just pray into that. And on that, and then rotate it. And then the next week, just do it again or move it around. I felt has actually been so amazing, because it frees me up to then just spend time in worship, or just spend time in the Word, or whatever the Lord wants to show me.
No, that makes sense.
So that's been a great help for me as well. And then so I think there's a lot of ladies out there that will understand this concept of the hat and all the roles that we play. There's one thing I want to end with, and this is something that you also always used to say, is what will happen if you drop the balls? So all those balls that we carry, that we think we need to hold on to, maybe you just want to share just a little bit before we close about the balls.
I always, it's like, because it's like juggling, that picture of juggling all the balls, and it's like when you take a jersey and you pull a piece of the wool, and you kind of start pulling. So I will often, with my clients and with myself, I'll go, okay, so what will happen if I drop this ball? And you pull, and then it goes to, well, she'll be angry. Okay, so what will happen if she's angry? Ooh, I hate that feeling. Okay, so you hate the feeling. Well, how will you feel? Well, I actually hate myself for saying yes. And so and I do that with myself. If I find I'm in a place of overwhelm, I would go, okay, so what will happen if I drop this ball? What will happen? I was stuck in Mozambique last year I went for a week holiday. My brother was there and joined him. And then there was, with the COVID stuff, I was stuck there for 2 weeks. And what amazed me was I had people who could sort out things on the site. Yes, I had to phone in, and it was frantic, and they could move all my clients. I was running an attachment group at that point. They were fine to take a 2-week break. It was like I was stuck. We couldn't move. It was like, this is it. Came back, and I'm still here. The practice is still here. The people came back, and I had a most amazing 2 week. I haven't had a 2-week break in it's usually 4 days here, 3 days there. So what will happen if you drop the balls? And sometimes it's the meaning we assign to it. It's not even real. The meaning I assigned to drop the ball was my practice will be, people will, I don't know, whatever. And it wasn't true.
So is it almost like working it back to worst case scenario? Like, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? it's sort of dealing with
often
that, with the internal
Yeah.
conflict that you have.
But Tammy, often the worst thing that you think is going to happen won't even necessarily happen. It's not even the truth. It can be truth-based, where yes, it's going to be bad, so deal with it. But in this case, it was the meaning I gave it. I gave the meaning of it of disaster. It was a difficult situation, but it wasn't the end or disaster. And you know what I found, and I love that people were actually 99% of the people said, Corlia, you deserve it. You've always been able, you would move my sessions even if I phone you in the morning. You adapted the group, and if I couldn't make it, you would email me the stuff and talk me through it 10 minutes on the phone. You what's the word? You mold yourself around my life and my needs. So why do you not think that I can do the same for you? And that was a whole can of worms that opened up for me.
Wow.
That,
yeah.
I don't.
It's part of cutting yourself slack because you don't do it right. That's being so hard on yourself to keep all those balls in the air always.
Why not believe that people could love me enough or care enough about me to do what I do for them, like automatically? I don't even think about it. So
yeah. So that's having grace for other people, like we've also spoken about, but not having grace for ourselves. Yes. Yeah. So we'll do whatever it is we need to do for them, but for ourselves, no. Yeah. So that's actually something, that people, the ladies need to think about, with regards to just having grace for themselves and to take care of their needs, whatever it is that they might need, and not only everybody around them. And I think just to ask God for that balance, to help them balance their lives, help them balance their time. And I think a lot about how our time does get wasted with things that we don't need to spend so much energy on, and especially with regards to our thought processes, right? That sort of ties into, it's not only our time, it's what do we waste our thought energy on that actually is not productive, not good for us, ruminating on things we thought we should have done, we didn't do, and that sort of thing. So it's also just to pay attention to what's going on in your thought life at the same time. So I like that little exercise that you gave, to just actually think about what would happen. What am I feeling? And even just look at where does that take you to resolve those conflicts. So any last nuggets before we end our talk?
No, just that I miss you. You must come to Cape Town.
Yeah, I miss you too. I do miss you. Yeah.
Tammy was always the brain and I was the practical one in the practice when we were together. So
yeah, you see, this is why we need other ladies in our lives to complement us, because you always had that ability to take the theory that I would present and just make it so practical. So it's awesome. Yeah. And then it helps you also just to put stuff into perspective as well, especially for my brain, because my brain thinks very big.
Yeah.
And you can just go like this. So it's incredible.
Yeah, and I needed you to give me the right psychological terminology to sound important and clever, which I miss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Corlia, for your time and just
Great.
sharing with the ladies. I'm sure they will be blessed, and hopefully we can have another one of these talks soon.